This is Jeremiah. This is Jeremiah. I decided to do one more for today, and you're getting J or something like that. We've gotten up there. We're really rolling on Beauty 2021. I'm talking about America a lot here, and some of you who are in Wanying, welcome China, or Yokoso in Japan, and I'm saying welcome to some of my students who are around these plateaus. I am very well versed in cultures. One of the colleges I went to, I've attended 3 universities, and one of the universities at which I attended was the most diverse university in the world. I had wonderful Chinese friends. I still do. I would like to contact Aiko from Japan. What a very nice artist she was. So some of you are getting, Bible teachings from a guy who knows a lot about world culture, and I enjoyed encountering these wonderful human beings. What a great time I had. I wish I could go back to those days in college and rub elbows with those people in the art classes, in philosophy, and so on and so on, and three-dimension design, and even some of the professors, very nice people. But today I'm going to we're going to go to 48:17, and we're going to talk about how things are beautiful when you're in line with the teachings of the Master, and how the rod can be broken. I just shared with you that one of my lessons is saved as long as you do this. Okay? Do you have saving faith that's to the saving of the soul? To the saving. Prepositional phrase. So, do you have it to the saving of the soul? So, that's almost infinitive or something. As I get into grammar, let's let that go. So you know what? We're just rejoicing in the name of Jesus Christ, the only name given. We're up to J right now. I told you that we are going to go to Z quick here, and I'll probably have to do 2022. I'll probably go ahead of time and go A through Z or something like that, so that we can differentiate. Because I already have some beauty lessons up, and we greet you in the only name given, and we're rejoicing together with you in the fellowship of Abba Father, and we cry, we yell, we scream. No, we're just loud and excited, exclamatory. Hi ho! Exclamation point, said Raleigh. That's Hemingway, but we're just excited and happy here. He has made us glad, and we thank our God because He has made us glad. And we just constantly rejoice in the Lord in praise and worship. I'm going to start putting praise and worship music in this ministry. You can probably hear it in the distance right now. So music is going to become a bigger part of this ministry. I have a piano here. It sounds a little rinky, but I can make it sound good. I can plug it up and put it through some speakers. But I don't mind listening to a little rinky piano, but just to practice on and so forth. But I have some songs. I talked to my buddy Eric. He's a tech genius. He lives in Los Angeles, and I wish he lived out here. He would come over here and fix whatever tech problem I had in 3 seconds flat. And with me, I'm a bozo when it comes to tech stuff. I may have done well in school or in some things, but when it comes to some things, I just can't get it together. And you know what? I don't mind not being good at some things. It's frustrating, but like I said before, some of you did not have a yellow phone on the wall that had no answering machine, and the only thing it did was answer the phone or talk. And actually, I think it's much better than the phones they have now, because your ear was right on the, what you heard, and you spoke right at the phone there. The microphone there, and I kind of wish they'd go back to that. I actually like that better than the so-called advanced modern phone. We won't go there. And of course, I always think back to my mom, because she was always by the phone, because the phone was by the kitchen and so forth, and we won't go there. Many of you who are older like me, you old folk out there. And you're as old as you feel, and you're as old as you are busy. Busy people don't feel old. They don't know anything about it because they're concentrating on doing what? Binding up the brokenhearted and handling their own business. Now let's get back to Jeremiah 48:17. I gave you a peek into some scriptures or lessons that are coming up. This is Beauty 2021, and we're probably in J and K. We're getting up there. I'll enumerate it later, alphanumerics. This is Beauty 2021, and I have some other lessons previous that should be up there on under number 120, I think it is, and you can enjoy those, and it's going to be slightly different than these. I will go back over the same scriptures repeatedly here, but I'm going to give you a different take on them, and we're going to talk about maybe a little bit of Americana. And let me stop right here. I'm an American, and there's a lot of things about America that are extremely beautiful and wonderful. And a lot of it has to do with William Penn, the original Amish gentleman, I forgot his name, from Sweden, who evangelized this entire northeastern part of America. Until the Catholics came here with their demonic doctrine and other people who are teaching error, this was a very, very esoteric, wonderful place. But not to preach the American dream, though. The American dream is flawed. It's not completely flawed, but it is flawed. And I mentioned that in this ministry a few times. Because we're not here to establish a kingdom here on the earth, nor are we here to rejoice that it's somewhat of a permanent state. No. We spend a lot of our time and most of our focus on getting out of here. And that being the rapture. I'd feel more comfortable if the Republican conventions had somebody stand up and say, we're looking for Jesus to come here, and this is not my home country. Nevertheless, we're here to rejoice that we have a good politician maybe, and he's going to do better than Billy Joe. I will rejoice in that. And I have, in a way. But it's secondary stuff. It's not a part of the doctrine of Jesus Christ. Our doctrine is to preach to everybody, repent, and get ready to go to heaven, and that's our doctrine. There's no part in there for a dream, establishing a country. No. And that's where William Penn got a little mixed up, and other people. Now, the gentleman who started the Amish community, I don't think he went off on that. To his credit, the Swedish gentleman, I should give you his name, but he's a big influence on the fabric of the U.S. Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and Americanism. That guy is big. He's just about as big as Penn was. And I think he understood the Bible a little better than Penn. Penn was not a good theologian. He was a good boots on the ground Christian, and we rejoice in that, okay? He's part of the groundwork for the falling away in many ways. But we're not going to fault him with that big of an entity. We're going to just say that part of what he taught did influence Americanism and the American dream and the errors that are therein, which are also in the preamble to the Declaration of Independence and the preamble which is for the U.S. Constitution. Okay. Both of those documents have a lot of error in there. In spite of them being wonderful in many ways, there are some very serious errors in there for us to teach Christian doctrine. Okay? I'm not going to go into how it is right now, or how that is. We're going to get into beauty, and I want to get back to Jeremiah 48:17, and then I'm going to give a review, and we're going to move on. This should be a shorter video here, because I am running out of time and so forth. It's already 3 o'clock, it's prayer time. As you know, from 12 to 3 is the hour. Those are the 3 hours of administration. 12 is the number of administration, and 3 is the number of manifestation. So from 12 to 3, you're talking very, very important hours in the day for the servant of God. God is going to deal with them quite a bit during those hours, and we can see that from Peter and so forth, and that's related to the Mosaic Law. Now, which we're still a part of. Some people think that the Mosaic Law is dead or something. That is absolutely ridiculous. No. Jesus said, I did not come to nullify the law. I came to complete the law. And Jesus told the man when he got healed to do as the Moses law said, go to the Pharisees. We're not here to obliterate law and stuff. It's sad that a lot of people, it's really sad. Let's go back to the discipline-minded servant of God, the people of God, and let's develop that idea. As I greet you in the only name given amongst men by which you must be saved. Now, the rod, and we say we have no want here. If we do, it's not going to be for too long. Because the Lord's going to prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies. And your cup will overflow. Because goodness and mercy will come to you constantly every day of your life. And on top of that, let's keep going with Psalm 23. You will dwell in the house of the Lord eternally. That's the Feast of Tabernacles, the last feast of the Hebrews, which is also your feast. Now let's get into what is the rod. Okay, the rod is an instrument of discipline. So God has a beautiful group of people who are disciplined. They're police officers. They demand that everyone around them is in order. And they're making a contribution to the peace and the tranquility of everybody around. If not, someone's going to put a stop to your activity, and that means you're under arrest. Okay? So that's kind of what this means. It's a broad concept, the word rod. It can also mean a stem or a branch that has fruit that looks beautiful and is doing well, because they're taking in the right kinds of phosphates and nitrates, and they're taking in truth. They're not corrupted, and they're not swaying, and it's all good, as they say. And my point is that this rod is it was the Justice League, as we have in America. You know, we have the Justice League and superheroes who go after people who are wicked and so forth, and that's good. We need a rod. We need a police officer, and you know, you're a peace officer. The reason why you're called a peace officer is because you're maintaining the peace. People who are anarchists, who don't believe in order, you're putting them in order. You're a soldier of peace. You're promoting love instead of hate. You're a Justice League. I'm going around binding up the brokenhearted, and I'm preventing people from becoming brokenhearted. Because it's people who break the law that break people's hearts. If you buy a brand new car and you enjoy it, and you go outside and it's gone, you're going to be brokenhearted. That's what the devil does. He's a heart breaker, and God is a heart mender. If somebody told you a lie and it hurt you, that's the devil. And all of a sudden, here comes Jeremiah telling you the truth, and now the fruit of this truth is peace. All lies do is create pain. That's all they do. And God is saying that the beautiful police officer, the well-dressed Jew boy or Hebrew man is broken now. And he's not happy with it, and you shouldn't be happy with it. Seeing a well-dressed officer who is out saving babies and whatever, and all of a sudden you look at him and he's broken. That's not good. You'd much rather see that individual standing tall and gallant. That's what I would want to see. So the Justice League of Israel, because God chose them as a special people unto himself to adopt them, and he told them that they're not different than other people. It is only based upon the fact that he graced them in order for them to want to be children and act like his children and be merciful and love righteousness. And that's how they are Israel. And that's how they are special. He told Moses, you're not different than anybody else. That's the same thing Stephen told the Pharisees, Sadducees, and the chief leaders who stoned him to death, and some of the people. He told them that you're not different than other people. You're not special. Israelites are not special people. What makes you special is that God chose you. That's what makes you special. And when Stephen went into detail, they tore their clothing and they stoned him to death. Because as the famous line in the movie here in America years ago was, you can't handle the truth. When Paul told Timothy, they won't endure sound doctrine, but they're going to look for TV preachers who tickle their ears. That's what America's done. If I start talking, take up your cross, real Christianity, real Quaker, Amish Christianity, the people down south turn me off. Click, I'm off. Because they can't endure the truth. They can't handle it. They want to stay in kindergarten, Disney World stuff, and have cotton candy, and that's what they want. And in a way, they're making their mind up, and it's good for them because they've decided that they want to go downstairs and enjoy the world, because that's what they're doing. They're exchanging the pearl of great price and going to heaven for the TV guy and enjoying luxury and not going to Iraq and getting sawn in half to save a helpless Muslim woman. That's the bottom line of Christianity. I just gave it to you. We can all go home. Where the rubber meets the road. So the disciplined Mideast star of the world, Israel, the only people who don't bow down and worship frogs and kiss them and who knows what else they do, freaky people in Babylon. The only people who don't murder their children, which is why America's Babylon now, because Babylon's famous for murdering their children and putting them through the fire, and that's what America's doing right now. When they have a saline abortion, that's when the baby's burned alive. America's doing that big time right now. They're spending $1 million of my tax money every day to do so. So this is definitely Babylon. But God called Israel a rod, and that means that they put the law down of what God hates, and they taught it and they lived it. And they were a beautiful vine, and they were a beautiful flower. And what happened to them now? They're broken. And this is the same thing that happened to America. And it started with the Banks movies, horror movies, and all. America went down the toilet. As I mentioned in the earlier video, when that wonderful actress, and I was sad to see her make that movie, where she left her husband because he was strict, and he was very disciplined or something, which is totally asinine. And she's smiling and she walks off with his brother. You talk about one of the sickest movies. And in contrast, Mr. French made that movie with the top actress of all time. What's her name? Betty. He He made a movie where he fell in love with her, found out she was married to a husband, and he dumped her right there in the hospital. And went back to his fiancée that he dumped. And got married. In other words, he got his life in order. Which means, French, in his movies, he's what? He's a beautiful rod. Nothing's happened to him. He's not a broken rod. He told the woman in the hospital because he found out her husband was in the next room. He said, what are you doing to my life here? I lost this business and blah, blah, blah. And you got into an accident and you're okay. Your husband, you just about killed him. And what's the story of the story? The moral of the story? You're still married. You're done. Well, the other movie was the guy was heavily disciplined and he was being a little strict, but he didn't yell at his wife, he didn't cuss at her. He was just a strict guy who liked to dress strict and so forth. And all of a sudden, he's sitting at home crying alone because she wanted an artist and she wanted Sigmund Freud as a husband who was a space case who has no rules. Who paints nude pictures or whatever he's doing, and he's a free spirit, That's a broken rod. What happened, Hollywood? What happened, America? You're the same thing here. Like a police that goes bad, well, what happened to the rod, the beautiful rod? What happened to the beautiful behavior in the well-fed, well-groomed person or group in this case? In other words, it's just sad. Let's have a review, and I'm going to stop here. I'm going to make this a shorter one. I should make it a shorter one because time constraints and so forth, but Jeremiah is on fire here. And we are getting into the Word of the living God, and we just enjoy this. We do this every day. I might take a day off coming up here. I might take a drive to Trader Joe's or something, and Monday or Tuesday, I don't want to get too personal. We all go to the grocery store. I'm sharing things with you that we all basically do, and I hope that you can do that where you live, whether it's Wanying in China or it's Yokoso in Japan or Caribou in Africa, okay? Now, we're going to stop right here where Jeremiah 48:17. So let's have a quick review of what we've done because I'm going to start giving a little more review in my lessons. Usually I go through everything and then maybe have one review or something like that. But I think on this lesson, it behooves us to really hammer home positive stuff. This is the positive stuff here. Although I do mention some negative stuff, we have to do that. But most of the stuff is looking good. Revelation 19. You're looking good. And let's go over that again. As we leave the rod that's broken here. What happened to this vibrant, true entity here? What happened? What happened to the commands? Just as I gave you an example given, independent example, whatever you want to say, I gave an example of what happened to America. You know, Mrs. Jackson, Andrew Jackson's wife, she should have been confronted. She was breaking God's law because her husband was looking for her. In spite of the fact that he was a philanderer, whenever, off and on, she's still technically married to that guy. And the women who are the wives of our American politicians, they weren't having it, and I like that. I don't necessarily like everything the way they went about it. Okay, that's not the point. However, it was proper for them to confront her because America was paying attention to the commands of Jesus Christ And that's the way it should be, instead of a Babylon we have now, which is confused church. I mentioned to you that Bible teacher I saw years ago who came on TV. He has thousands of viewers. This guy was really bad. He said, I've been teaching you faith wrong. Love is blah, blah, blah. And you could tell he was totally lost. He didn't know what he was talking about. He'd go, I told you that love was not the key, and I'm going to tell you. And I'm not here to make fun of the guy, because I'm not going to tell you his name is, because we're not here to get into names and stuff. I try to avoid names. Because I just read where Paul said, don't curse people and all that kind of stuff. We're not here to pick on anybody who's lost or to identify them. I went online, there are a lot of Christians and people who are identifying people. I don't do that. On a rare occasion, I don't want to do that. We just talk about where they're wrong and let the chips fall where they may. Okay? But this gentleman was going on, and from a simple 12th grade grammar perspective, this guy it's pitiful. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know the context of the chapter. Most of the people who are on TV, a lot of guys I've seen, they don't know the context of the chapter they're reading. And let me give you an example and let that subject go. We're going to let beauty go. I'm going to give an overview and shut down. But let me give you an example. When you go to, and let's go there and do that before I give a review. Let's go to Luke chapter 6. One of the most important scriptures in your Bible. A lot of your scriptures are Luke chapter 6 related. The Master really dropped some bombs in Luke chapter 6. I mean, it gets deep here. And let's go to Luke chapter 6. Now, blessed are ye poor. Rejoice ye in that day and leap for joy. In being what? Poor. And being put down for being poor, and being a Quaker more or less, and not a rich guy rubbing elbows with movie stars and whatever, and politicians and the greedy hoarders. That's what the Master's saying here. Let's keep going. But woe to you that are rich. Woe to you that are full, consoled. People speak well of you. Ooh, well done, Mr. Capitalist, and all this kind of stuff. By the way, the Master's not putting down hard work here. He's talking about greed here and bragging about yourself. Okay? Now, let's jump all the way to verse 35. Lend hoping for nothing again. That means that you're out there being merciful and caring, and you're giving a banquet to handicapped people who don't have any money, and that's the banquet you're giving, which means you're not getting anything hardly in return for your church activities. Which is the opposite of what they're doing now, having marketing meetings, how to rob widows, the same thing that Pharaohs did. With their books, scaring women and give me more, what their TV guys are doing and so forth. And popes and so forth. Now let's get back to this. Hoping for nothing again. How many times have we seen that? The Master say, hope for nothing again. Quite a few. Give. Hoping for nothing again. Asking for nothing again. Storing up treasures in heaven when you don't get anything in return. That's where your return is. When you don't get something now, that's when you get something later. It's very simple. I want to point this out because a lot of people are having a problem with this. That Christianity is based upon you, with church activities in general, where you just give stuff away and you expect nothing in return. In general. And that's how you store in heaven, because you didn't get anything in return here. That goes for your activities and your energies. You got that? It's very simple. I'm giving you overarching principles now. These are the big enchilada topic sentence stuff here. I'm not going into details that much right now. This is the big story. And I want you to get this. This is very important. Now go to the end of the chapter. Well, let's not go to the end. Let's go to 38. Given it shall be given unto you. So now, let's stop right there. Given it shall be given unto you. Now he just said that you're not getting anything in return. Now he says something's going to be given to you. Now stop right there. This is very important, and it is the germane grammar here. I want you to pay attention to the grammar here. I saw a guy on TV. He missed this so far. He needs to go somewhere and go back to the 3rd grade and leave us alone, us Americans alone. And we wish that these false mountains would disappear, because it's sad, isn't it, that people don't pay attention to grammar. And we're not talking about a PhD grammar here, okay? This is not deconstruction here at all. You know, this is not pedagogy lessons for PhD, which I had to get through and some difficult stuff. Listen, verse 38. Given it shall be given to you. Wait a minute, Master. You just said hoping for nothing again. Stop the train. And you just told us earlier that blessed are the poor and woe to you that are rich. Let's put this all together as I go over this lesson. Listen, if I could get Luke 6 home to everybody, we could put a big hole in this apostasy. Teachings are what free the people who are lost. You've heard lies. You need to hear the truth. That's what's going to set your mind free and put you on the right path. Now, let me finish, because we're just about done. So be ye therefore merciful, as your Father, leads back to the end of Matthew chapter 5. That when the Master mentions Father, he mentions loving kindness as the main characteristic, and adoption. Those two things go together. When he mentions himself, he mentions discipline and servanthood and work in the church. Those two things go together. Now here we have more specific, we have, I don't want to confuse it. Here we have, I love people by sharing and caring with my material things and my time and my energy, and I don't want anything in return, because your reward shall be great when you're called the child of the person who behaves like this. This is how God behaves. He gives a lot of stuff away. Do you think that I've given God back anything that he really needs? That's the point. He's constantly giving me stuff, and he's not really getting much in return. That's the point. And when you put on this mind, you'll be called the sons of the what? You're entering into adoption. Children of the highest. That's the point. You're a very merciful person, and you're giving, expecting nothing again. And guess what you're going to get? He just said, oh, wait a minute, you just said we're not going to get anything. But in verse 38, he says, go ahead and give love and care. And we have, you want to get into the specifics? Okay, when we go to the marriage supper, when we go to the supper, when we go to the rapture, and we get details all over the place, which are what? You better be active and out there binding up the brokenhearted. Are you a part of the love team, the love recovery team? The devil kicks butt in the cage, and people come to us wounded. Are you part of the love recovery team, bringing truth to people who've taken nothing but flights of fantasy and unfruitful paths, as opposed to leading you in the paths of righteousness? So you can have peace. That's our job here. So you're giving all of this, which the word give is a big word here, and it means that that's what you're doing. You're active, you're giving, and you're not expecting anything in return. But wait a minute, Master, and you said it shall be given to you. Stop right there. Stop right there. That's where we have the contrast. Do you see that? That's when the chapter goes contrast. That's when we go back to the earlier part of the chapter, which is what? Rejoice in that day. Blessed are you when men hate you. So you're giving everything away. You're loving everybody, and you're working for the Son of Man's purposes, for the name's sake. You're out there binding up the brokenhearted, and you're running into opposition. Leap for joy, verse 23, which is the same thing we got in Matthew chapter 5. Same thing. Leap for joy, for your reward is great. Where? Now on earth? No, your reward is great in heaven. He's going to go back to that reward in heaven again, which he does 100 times, which is, you rich man, give everything you have away, and you'll have riches in heaven. The Master says the same thing over and over and over again. It's redundant, but I'm sharing that with you that everyone who's got 4th grade attention span, you should get some of this, and I hope you do, because this is the Bible. This is the Master talking, and I'm giving you overarching things. I can go into some details here, but I don't want to do that right now. I want you to get the main idea here. That the first thing he said was, for yours is the kingdom of God. That's the whole point. Blessed are you, happy are you, poor people, because of what's going to happen to you in the future. That's the point. The Master is talking posthume. The reason why you're rejoicing is not what you're going to get right now. For your reward is great on earth, TV preacher? No, wrong answer. Please disappear. You rat, wolf. The world's mixed up, isn't it? But not for us Quakers over here. We're getting this, and I'm here to preach this, and we're rejoicing in the truth here. Because the truth is going to set people free. Accepting nothing again. I'm not hoping for anything again. But wait a minute, Master. You just said give and it shall be given to you. Stop right there. Oh, wait a minute. That's contradictory. No, it's not contradictory. It's just that you're getting something different than what you expected. That's the point. You're not getting things that are related to mammon. And that's why the Master said give to God the things that are his. God owns the heart. Same principle here when he said, blessed are you when you basically are what? In the rapture on the Lord's day. Got that? Store up treasures in heaven where neither moth nor dust corrupt. That's what he's doing. The same thing again right here. The same thing. You're storing up in heaven because you're not getting anything now. I'm not talking about having a job where you work and get a paycheck. That's not what the Master is talking about right now. He's talking about your general activities when you can give a party or when you can give something away. I'm not talking about business interaction right now per se. Don't get confused. I've had people give me those innuendo. Oh, you don't want to do business. No, Paul says to handle your business. Okay, this is 5th grade grammar stuff here. This is not difficult. You're supposed to handle your business, and we can understand both of these ideas. They're not a paradox. No, they both go together well together. That is handling your business on your job, and when you go to church or you do church activities, you expect nothing again for what you do. You got that? Now let's continue with the idea, because he said, rejoice and be exceedingly glad for what? Leap for joy. Okay, he's going back to the same idea, because what's going to be given to you is pressed down, given good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men give unto your bosom. So that's what you're going to get. You're going to get the same thing you got there, which was the word was joy. You're going to rejoice because while you're in your human body, you're getting joy. Unspeakable. People are going to give you joy. Joy comes from love. They're going to give you love, which you don't get when you get a $5 bill back. money are sick people because they should love love. And America's got is Babylon. People are so confused. They're all confused. What is love, and when is love, and when is money love, or something. They're all over the place. But we Quaker types over here, we Protestant Philadelphia church, sound doctrine, Bible teachers, and students, we're not confused. I handle my business, but when I do things and activities, I don't seek any return pertaining to my activities that are outside of a business, so to speak. My church activities, going to help sister so-and-so, whatever. I used to help a lady, and somebody asked me about how much you're getting paid. I didn't even answer and cast my pearls before the swine. Because all he thinks about is money. He wasn't thinking about the woman giving him pressed down, shaken together in good measure, joy from love, that's your return. He's an animal, essentially. Created in the image of God, Goliath is an animal. Doesn't understand the circumcised heart of a caring person who loves truth. He has no idea about all these concepts. He is an outer world dark land. He's on the dark side. I mean, he doesn't know what's going on over here with sacrifice and denial and expecting it returns and when on the Lord's day. And like the Master said here, rejoice being poor and being treated like a dog by the world. Because the world hates you because you hate the world's activities. You're identifying those activities, and they're not going to be happy campers. You're shining the light on the roaches, and they're running all over the place. Now we're into beauty. I want to give a quick, no, I'm going to save that for the next video. I'm going to give a review at the beginning of the next video of everything we've gone over, because I'm going to do that on this lesson, okay? And I'm done for the day. Jeremiah's done. We're rejoicing together with you in the truth. And I'm going over some very simple grammar that most people don't get because we don't live in a grammar society per se. And it is sad because the Master is giving you posthume promises. He's not giving, I'm going to give you a bunch of returns. Because he just said, woe to you that are rich. Why would he promise you that you're going to get woe, that you're going to get riches in large bunches? That contradicts the grammar. Also, it contradicts, he just said, expecting nothing again. Why would he tell you that somebody's going to give you a whole lot? Fourth grade grammar here, and Jeremiah's done. You know, we're going to move on. And by the way, I say fourth grade. It could be fourth to 12th grade. Fourth. Hey, a lot of fourth grade grammar can be taught in the 12th grade. You know, there are 12 ways you can say a verb, and that's a, you know. Regular and irregular. I mean, you know, I'll share something with you as we're done with beauty for today, and we're rejoicing in everything beautiful and getting into beauty. I'll share with you, you know, I was just going over some of the grammar. I used to teach a little bit, and you know, I have to review stuff, and I'm just Jeremiah, just Joe Blow guy in many ways. We used to say here in America. You know, I worked hard. I had students in my classes in college, and some before you get your PhD and stuff. I had some people in the class. They had memories and comprehension levels that were 10 times better than mine. But I worked hard, and I want to be an inspiration to you, so that you get filled with confidence that you can do this, and you can get a pencil and paper out and a dictionary. And some of you had difficulty in school. That might have been in special ed or something. That everybody's in special ed. There's only one person who's not in special ed, that's Jesus. Everybody has problems with their brain and thinking and organizing. Everybody. You just put your nose to the grindstone, get you a little lamp, and where the rubber meets the road, and you spend some hours studying the Word of the living God, And don't be a quitter when it comes to being a workman. I have a lesson called A Workman. That's lesson number 58. I'm a workman over here. It's a labor of love. Paul coined that as a labor of love. What a wonderful brother we have as one of our teachers, Mr. Paul the Apostle, who the Lord has indeed blessed with eulogia. The word bless means good words. Somebody spoke some intelligence to you and kindness to you, and that's why you're blessed. Okay? This is Jeremiah signing off. Shalom and Maranatha. And what do we say to all this? We're listening to the voice of the Lord. My sheep, they hear my voice. We don't listen to the voice of a stranger. It's the Master we're focused on. Shalom again and Maranatha.